Okay, this is the fir tree I'm going to paint with a Scruffy brush. First I'm going to put in the brown trunk. Now I'm using a combination or two colors here. This is bark brown, but I can also use burnt umber. I just had the bark brown. No, is it bark brown? Van Dyke brown. But just to show you how I do this. And I added a little raw sienna to give it some dimension. You can use just the one color if you prefer, but I'm starting on the flat edge. This is a number 10 flat brush. Donna Dewberry one stroke. It comes in the pack of 10, the combination pack that I often refer to because I use them just about exclusively, though I have used other brushes. These are always the ones I come back to because they will last well as long as I clean them well. And I'm making the trunk, and as I go up, I'm flat edge, drag, I'm lifting on the pressure so it narrows, and then I turn to the chisel edge and drag it up so it comes up to a point. Now this is paper, so it's really dragging, and my paint was a little thickened. It's been on my palette a little bit, but that's okay, it'll work because the fronds of the tree are going to kind of cover it anyways. So I have my Scruffy. This is the 3/4 inch Scruffy. Comes in the same multi-pack as that flat brush. And I have two colors. I have the Thicket and the Citrus Green on my palette here. And I am going to primarily use the Thicket. I like the dark green. Now one of my other tutorials I do with the fan brush, I use this Greenscape. And that works good if you're trying to mimic a fir tree. Fir trees around here have a bluish cast. But yeah, and the pines and the cedars are more of the green. So that's why I wanted to use that other color, just to show how you could do it for a winter scape. Now there I just tapped the edge of my Scruffy brush on the top to create the top. And then very narrowly, I'm going to start making the top. And I'm on the edge. I have it leaned down. You see how it's leaned at an angle. And then I'm just doing the edges. And if I want them to be a little bit thicker, I bring it up. And you notice how the citrus is also working in there. Now the brush is getting dry, and I'm not going to bring it all the way down to the round. I want a little bit of trunk. So I can go in and reload, and then I tap off some of it. Let me get this in the camera. I tap it off. And I'm not super careful about where the light green and the dark green end is on the brush. And then where I want to thicken it up, I just come in, and I'm kind of working back and forth. Oh, so you got a little bit of white in there, but that's not a big deal. I'm working back and forth almost in a zigzag. And that helps to create the shape. But you see up here where I had it directly on the edge, now if you want to create, there are some trees that kind of have the shallower fronds or levels on it, and you can leave it like that, or you could come in and you can do the thicker ones like I did with my Scruffy. Just make sure you're going down at an angle. Now, not all trees are perfectly symmetrical. If you were looked around here, we live among the pines, cedars, and firs. You would note that some trees have a big gap right here, or other anomalies. So don't worry about your trees being perfect, because it's all going to work out. And normally, at least in my paintings, see, I added a little more citrus just to give it some interest. Your trees are going to be a backdrop to the painting. So it's going to be in the background. So your trees do not have to be perfect, because the focal point of your painting is going to be something in the foreground. Okay, enough. That is how you paint a fir tree with a Scruffy brush. Okay, another thing I wanted to note, always use a dry Scruffy. If you have them wet, they will muddy up your paint. It just doesn't work right. So if you're doing a lot, try to have at least three Scruffy brushes on hand. So if you can. If not, you're going to have to clean your brush, dry it, and then continue on. Because like I said, working with a Scruffy brush with it wet is just a big mess. Okay, there is your second type of fir tree or evergreen.